You have to think about the thing you want. It's a lot like the whole content strategy. Like, you want to produce really good content. You don't want to produce a lot of content really quickly. You don't want to produce a lot of content across the board. Like, every company at some point, when you have a certain level of expertise, there was a point where those companies really intentionally said, we don't do beginner content, because nobody got here because they were a beginner.
Right.
Nobody decided to pay $1,100 for a chainsaw because it was the first time they cut a tree down. Like, you get to that level of chainsaw purchase, you know what you're doing with that piece of equipment. You're looking for really specific feature sets. So like, what we call prosumer, consumer but professional.
Yeah.
Like, you're really in something that's your big time hobby and you're willing to splurge on it, whether that's cooking or baking or golf or gardening or
Cutting down trees.
Like,
Right.
yeah, that's where the prosumer lives.
How did you uncover what content was actually going to be the most valuable?
Oh, listen to your consumers. They'll tell you. So like,
Right.
straight up consumer survey, ask the questions, what skill do they have? And when you get them back and you go, 80% of them identified themselves as intermediate or expert, okay, that tells you something.
Right.
Talk to your people on social media, let them engage with you. The kind of questions they ask your customer service teams, look at what are the questions that are being asked and how would people who are expert at customer service rate the skill level. And then everybody goes, well, but audience expansion means that we want something new or somebody new to the space. And you're like, no, you want somebody who's failed with something that's a lower quality or whose advice isn't as good or is now moving up to where they really aspire to be a lot better. You're not looking for new to the space. You're looking for new to brand because they're taking that step from a mid-range brand to a premium brand.
I think one of the most interesting pieces that you brought up was how much you're talking to your customer, right? And like that we keep coming back to this like customer-centric focus. And it's like, it's from the product to the experience to the content, everything has to be focused on the customer.
100%. I feel like that's kind of goes without saying, but it does.
Yeah.
That's also the thing that gets lost in a lot of these processes.
Right.
Agency and client communications, internal, external, whatever. The customer is really the most important thing, right? And it's just who that customer is and how you're talking to them, but always be listening to them and always be kind of detecting the trends in the market for that person. I mean, I think we all see companies do this, how sometimes they'll pivot to a different kind of customer and it's like, not sure that you were quite exactly listening to us. Or, you see Mercedes try to go with the entry price point Mercedes. Nope. No. Like, yeah, you can have that, but don't try to make that a thing because that's not why somebody wants to drive, that car with that logo. Like, there's something else about ego and status and quality that is driving that decision, not, oh my God, it's in my price range.
Well, and that's why you have to have a strong customer service side to listen to the...
Totally.
Right. Or at least, it doesn't have to be a customer service team, but you need to have a feedback loop with the customer.
If your marketing agency doesn't have sort of a customer listening offer, find somebody who does. Like if you're not using whatever the latest version of customer listening through social is, and you have to commit to it, and it's regular practice. It's like doing that kind of listening is always going to keep you focused on your consumer.
One of the things that we do a lot of is we actually try to listen to that customer through the data, right? Like, so we want to dive into the analytics and be like, okay, what are the trends that we're seeing? What are the subconscious decisions that these people are making? How do you bring in that data analysis into the overall structure of what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean that's the science part of it. If it's like we're mixing arts and sciences, the listening and interpreting, that's sort of more of an art form. The hard data is the science, and that's where you're looking at, well, who buys these products? Is there a cohort here? And who buys these products? Is there a cohort here? Oh, wait, there's a little tiny thread that connects this kind of product to this other kind of product. Who are these people that are doing both? Because they're really the most valuable customer we have, even though these two things seemingly are unlike, right? So it's about having good data cleanliness, having good data management, and then having a really strong internal analysis team that can continuously answer those questions, and where that you as at some point a management team are having those conversations and you're going, yeah, we do see new customers are attracted to this product and existing customers buy omnivorously across everything. That's every company. Your best customer is going to give you the least amount of data that's useful and actionable because they're buying hats, shirts, watches, cameras, gloves, they're buying the whole thing, right? So move them off. It's really the middle, and how do you get from, whatever your loyalty tipping point is, whether it's 1.5 to 2 purchases or 2.5 to 3 purchases, or if you're in apparel, it's probably even higher than that.
Yeah.
But it's like, what are they buying in that part of the journey, that inflection point, that's where you have to kind of focus. So that's where you can focus your outbound marketing and your product merchandising at the same time, like on those little threads of data on those cohorts.
That's how you increase average order value.
LTV, dollars per customer, like that's where you go. That's where you get into. And every business has to also deal with like that first time buyer thing. Like first time buyers, much like long-time customers, don't necessarily tell you much. That first time buyers are gift shoppers. They need something. They're self-purchase, but they're trying something different. That, you know, it's there's a lot of noise in that, and that's really hard to kind of cull intelligence from. There's a ton of data because there's the most of them, but it's really that group in the middle that you want to kind of focus on.
There's so many good pieces and like so many threads to pull on in this conversation. I really like, I think but that data piece is so interesting to me. Like with a few percentage point changes, you can create huge increases.
I mean, that's where you see internally all these companies, that's where their huge technology spend is going. It's where their human capital is going to the good analysts. It's also where they're thinking about who's the right privacy partner. It's not even just the data, it's the management, it's the systems, it's the ecosystem, and it's, again, back to that cookie conversation. It's like, how do you own and control your own future there? Because that's where the value is. And that's also where those things are proprietary and they're yours. And you don't have to look at your competitor and go, oh, what are they doing? Your competitor might be financially distressed. They might have an inventory issue. They might be totally experimental on some sort of new investment. Like, you can't always take the cues from your competitors in terms of what you want to do.
No, and I think that that's the big piece about having a good amount of first-party data and then listening to what the people who have given you that first-party data are saying to you. There's
also a difference there between like sort of the wholesale and direct business where like in a wholesale marketplace, you're just trying to take share from everybody else. Like in a perfect world, your product would be the only thing on the shelf. You would walk down, you know, the seltzer aisle and there would be it would just be LaCroix, or it would just, nobody else would exist, you know?
Right.
But you can't, online, you definitely can't do that. And there's just too many players.